Just to say, I just wondered if you could talk, all of you briefly, a little bit about how you got started in design and with sneakers in particular.
So gosh, I don't know where to start. Well, with sneakers, I started making heels, actually. I started with women's heels and my design career, and then I moved on to jewelry, and I guess somebody at Reebok was a fan of the jewelry. So they contacted me because they were doing an influencer program. So basically they were choosing, I think, like 4 or 5 women from 5 different continents in the world, and they wanted each woman to design their own shoe. And then it was going to be this whole, like, we are the world kind of collab. So I did the collab, and I was so excited to do it, and they donated money to my favorite charity, and it was just supposed to be that. And I did the shoe, and back then I was a pretty new company, so we didn't have like a counter on our website. So if you have like certain inventory, because we made all the jewelry in-house, so a lot of the stuff was made to order, we had small quantities. And we put this shoe up on Thursday night or Friday, it was Friday night. And then we came back to work Monday, and we had sold 3,000 pairs over the weekend. And so we freaked out, and we were like, what do we do? We only had like 30 pairs. Because we were like, do you think we could sell 30? I think we could sell 30.
Oh, wow.
So I called Reebok right away, and I was like, what do you guys have? Like, can you sell me the rest of your inventory? And can you give me 60 days to pay it off? And so they had 1,000 pairs. We got the 1,000 pairs, and then the rest of the people that had ordered, 90% of them waited 6 weeks for the shoes.
Oh, wow.
Which was remarkable. So I think Reebok paid attention to that, and then we got into talks about a collaboration.
Nice.
Hello? Hi, thank you for coming. My name's Sophia. So my story with my involvement in the world of sneaker design, I come from a background of illustration. I studied illustration, but during my time in school, I just always felt like I shouldn't limit myself to just drawing for a living or just illustration. So I went out of my way to just do things that I was interested in, like publication design. I interned at Complex Media for a little bit, worked with a fine artist doing silk screening and washing screens, a lot of internship labor, worked with a fashion designer who worked on a lot of graphics for Stussy and Undefeated and streetwear related brands, so I can learn about the production process of bringing something to market. And during that time, kind of just learned a lot of different things. And growing up in Queens, New York, sneaker culture and just hip-hop, pop culture has always been a big influence just in my daily lifestyle. And so around 2014, I was offered the opportunity by Puma, and similar to Melody, they had reached out to me to do the collection. And it was a global launch for both male and female, and so that was kind of the boundaries that I had to work within. And I wanted to create a collection of apparel, footwear, and accessories that cater to a very wide audience. So everything from, your hype beast that waits in line for sneakers, your really swaggy auntie and uncle that still wear really fresh shoes, and also kind of that Urban Outfitters hipster. And I'm kind of wearing that reference model here that has kind of like an ombre design. And of course, I added my illustration on there as well that gives reference and homage to New York City through the lens of a New Yorker, and also through a lens from kind of just the rest of the world and how they perceive New York.
Nice.
Okay, let's see. I kind of came across the sneaker world. I don't know, I've always been interested in fashion, and I grew up with a lot of art. My dad was a big art collector, and we traveled a lot to Japan as children. And So I was in college and I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I say that I got a degree in partying, drugs, and alcohol. So when I was done, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. And so I was working at this store called Wish. It was a raver store, and they were going out of business. And so I was like, I'm going to buy this place and turn it into something that I think is fantastic. And, you know, traveling overseas and seeing retail on a whole other level, like, you know, Wonderwall, the way that they did the vape stores, or, you know, just in Japan, it's like the Vivian Westwood stores, and it was just on a totally another plane. And I thought, well, why isn't that in Atlanta, you know? And it was in the early 2000s, and nobody was really in the sneaker game in Atlanta besides Walters, and I had some good friends in New York that were doing it, and there weren't really any women. I used to call this industry the sausage mafia, but I was like, whatever, I'm going to do this. I called my dad, and like, I'm just going to go for it. I figured if I was going to fail, I was going to fail with flying colors. So it's been a long, really good haul, and that's how I got into it.
Fantastic.